Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this latest narration of the web series, The Princess and the Human. If you're new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 11, Dear Diary. Kayatin, Silvani shouted out in her normal voice, I know that was you. Come out! Instead of an answer, what became audible was a laughter paired with the sound of someone running away. Silvani took a few deep breaths to get her vocal organ back under control before turning to the maid who had rushed to her side. Why did you not tell me that my brother was visiting? I was about to, Your Highness. I didn't expect this. The princess sighed. You know how he is. What if I'd been with a foreign diplomat? This could have been a disaster. At least tell me that it was just him, not my parents as well. His and Her Majesty are, to my knowledge, still at the Sky Palace. Well, thank the first ones. It was still a couple of days until the ambassador of Taistri was expected. If it was just her little brother, she could hopefully get him under control until then. Even if it meant that she could forget the few calm days of recovery she had hoped for. She looked at the top of the doorframe, at the contraption that had just given her the involuntary shower. It was surprisingly intricate, not at all what you would expect from a child. When exactly did he even manage to set this up without any of you noticing? I assume that he built it in advance and then simply put it in there when we were waiting for you outside, Your Highness. Even if that was the case, the fact that no one saw him do it is a bit concerning, the princess thought. With a sigh, she put the topic aside for now. Well, anyway, Mijita, this is Nadine. She is a guest of the palace. While I try to find our little troublemaker, I want you to show her to her room. Give her the one with the sturdiest bed. Mijita cocked her head. Do you mean the biggest bed, Your Highness? I meant what I said. If the sturdiest bed happens to be the biggest, so be it. In any case, once I'm finished with my brother, I want a bath for 2 people to be ready. After that, call in the dressmaker, say it's urgent, and also try to find a tutor that specializes in teaching other species our language. You are also authorized to procure whatever she asks for that doesn't require a clearance level 3. The maid nodded and gestured for Nadine to follow her. As the two made their way towards the guest wing, Silvani could hear the small alien timidly ask for something to write with. As the two walked away, the remaining servants quickly closed the door, helped the princess out of her soaked clothes, and wiped her dry. At the moment, there were no other guests at the palace, and since she was about to take a bath anyway, she decided that a new set was unnecessary. Instead, she decided to use the time the servants needed to prepare everything to reprimand her brother. She took another look at the contraption over the door, even if he had prepared that in advance. The palace star still should have had been waiting outside for quite a while if he had enough time to do all of this. Looking around the corner, she could see the hose and stick with a hook. Right, there was no way for a child to move this thing if it had been filled in advance. The hallway these things lay in led to the west wing, where her brother should be staying right now. The Star Palace had rooms meant for royal family, should they come for a visit. Said rooms were purposely positioned on the exact opposite end of the palace compared to the guest rooms in the east wing. Silvani, of course, loved her family, but for the sake of her world, it was best to keep them away from the guests. She followed the corridor and soon reached her brother's room. Unfortunately, he wasn't there. Great, that means he's hiding somewhere again. Maybe she should just have the guards look for him. Silvani was pretty exhausted from the trip and needed some rest. She really didn't have the nerve to put up with his antics right now. Hopefully, he wouldn't bother Nadine. She looked around. The room itself was nothing special by the palace's standards, though the bed was on the smaller end for obvious reasons. There was a lot of stuff littering the floor, however, mostly various tools and a lot of junk, probably the remaining parts he didn't use for his latest mischief. Thankfully, no one saw him tinkering in the privacy of his room. She picked up one of the tools. The engraving told her that it was from the Star Palace's workshop. Maybe it would be best to tell them to be more wary of their equipment while he visited. Kayatin would soon finish his general education and would then need to choose a subject to study. That should take up enough of his time, and his antics would get reined in a bit. Even if he wasn't considered the heir, he still was a prince. Then society expected certain behaviors from him. Behaviors that certainly didn't include the commoner's work. She really didn't want her brother's reputation to suffer because of a silly hobby. First day after arrival, scratch that. Day of my arrival. Dear Journal. Dear Diary, scratch that. Nadine's log, scratch that. Journal entry number, scratch that. Log file, scratch that. Dear Diary. I heard writing down your thoughts can help you process them. I hope it will. Stranded on an alien planet. I can't say, scratch that. This is certainly not how I expected my awesome space adventure to go. Well, on one hand, I made contact with real aliens, but on the other hand, I lost everything else. My past self probably would not believe how fast my excitement over the meeting aliens died down. Scratch that. Unfortunately, my first meeting with real aliens was plagued with 2 disasters at once. I have no idea what happened to the colony ship, and there seems to be no way of contacting them. I hope Pa, scratch that, my, scratch that, father, scratch that, Papa is right. Honestly, when I first saw the dock, I got pretty scared. Well, how would you react if you woke up to a gigantic bipedal scratch that? Their appearance is quite peculiar. Their carapace, if that is even what the right term, reminds me of the back of a white shrimp. If I understood the doc correctly, it is some sort of soft-shell exoskeleton. Yeah, carapace is probably wrong. No idea what the term for it is. I don't even know what I would compare the rest of their features with. I wonder what living with 4 arms is like. Scratch that. These monocolored diamond-shaped eyes look interesting. Scratch that. Are especially unique. They are usually dark, but when the light shines on them, they are almost like a stained glass. The princesses are green like a freshly mown lawn. It's really soothing to look at them. The princess has been really nice to me. I'm lucky that she was the one who found me. Today, she even invited me to bathe with her. I could finally get... that crusted blood, scratch that. The remains of those bugs, the blood off, scratch that, clean. She was surprised to learn that I could swim with my weight. Funny enough, because I never felt so light, I could probably do a backflip standing. She also called my appearance beautiful. It's interesting that she thinks that considering how different we are. All I could say in response was a joke about our age difference, and she didn't seem to get. I at least assume that she's older than me, going by the way she acts. I mean, she couldn't already be like that with 15, right? Having to say everything with their time units will take a while to get used to. Scratch that. This world, scratch that, corner of their world is pretty warm. It's quite pleasant, considering I don't really have any clothes. I'm curious what the tailor is going to make me. He had a pretty professional air around him, but he also sometimes shouted weird words that didn't go through the translator. By his demeanor, I assumed that they were positive. Maybe it's like this when a human artist gets an inspiration. I wonder how I look in her eyes, perceiving someone as beautiful who looks so fundamentally different from you. Like a cute kitten, maybe? A cute kitten with murderous strength. I can't put into words how scared I am to touch anybody. Broken objects can at least be replaced. I still feel those giant bugs getting crushed between my hands. Scratch that. Those bugs, scratch that. I'm tired, scratch that. Their blood clinging to my body, scratch that. When I see them, scratch that. I didn't get much sleep in the ship. Maybe that actually was a good thing because I didn't dream back then, scratch that. The bed they gave me is huge, bigger than my entire room back in our apartment. It looks so soft and comfy. I want to lay down, but I don't want to sleep. Scratch that. I'm tired, but I'm scared to close my eyes. End of chapter. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps. Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Bushmaster 177, HenryTheRed, Casper Arnholtz, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Elijah Silvercross, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.